Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital Today channel. Willow is seriously injured and hospitalized. Drew blames Michael. Michael predicts Willow's conviction, Chase's risky plan, Portia confesses. Michael Corinthos will predict Willow Corinthos' conviction while Harrison Chase spells out a risky plan. Let's talk about what lies ahead in Port Charles because Portia Robinson will also confess. At GH, Felicia Scorpio will corner Portia and go fishing for info about the night of Drew Kane's shooting. Isaiah Gannon might encourage Portia to admit that she was with him during this conversation. Isaiah will also have a private conversation with Portia and ask her if they should go talk to the police, but she might say no. Portia still hasn't told Curtis Ashford that there's another father option when it comes to the baby she's carrying, so she won't want to spread the word that she was with Isaiah that night. Will Portia finally tell Isaiah about her pregnancy, since he will find out soon enough? Isaiah is a smart guy and will be able to do the math, so Portia is really only delaying the inevitable here. Whatever the case, Portia will indeed confess something on Monday, so we'll see if that involves an admission to Felicia, Isaiah, or both. As a result of Chase's risky plan being implemented in the interim, Brooke Lynn Quartermaine may receive some unsettling updates. Brooke Lynn will oath Dante Falconeri to secrecy and deliver a surprise because she will have some disturbing information to share with him later. It sounds like Chase's obsession with Willow's freedom may worry Brooke Lynn. Brooke Lynn will wake Dante up to Chase's big plans for Michael's downfall, leaving him with his own worries. At Sonny Corinthos' house, he'll talk to Michael about Willow's upcoming trial. Michael will predict that Willow could be convicted by Christmas, but Sonny will hint that another suspect might come to light. Sonny may admit that he encouraged Alexis Davis to point the finger at Portia after Michael inquires about the person Sonny is referring to. Sonny will maintain his position, even if Michael disagrees with this defense strategy because it affects Curtis' family. As for Nina Reeves, she'll get what she assumes is a nice surprise. Jacinda Bracken might make Nina believe she's going to side with her and ensure that Michael's alibi falls through. Nina will talk to Drew about how Michael will get rid of someone for them, so she might think Michael will deal with Jacinda if she doesn't cooperate. However, Jacinda seems pretty loyal to Michael now, so they'll continue to push their fake romance around town. As this storyline progresses, there is a good chance that Michael and Jacinda will truly fall in love. Until then, Alexis Davis will stop by Pentonville and share some info that could help Willow's case. Willow might find out Alexis is considering throwing blame at Portia and adding another suspect to the mix in court. Finally, Giovanni Gio Palmieri and Emma Scorpio Drake will agree the mayoral debate will keep everyone busy and offer the right time to strike. Emma and Gio will have everything they need to sneak into the lab if Charlotte Cassadine succeeds in stealing the key fob. Willow Corinthos' life hangs in the balance after a devastating accident leaves her seriously injured and hospitalized, throwing the entire Corinthos and Quartermaine families into chaos. As she lies in the ICU, struggling between life and death, tensions rise across Port Charles. Drew Kane's anger boils over, and he points the finger directly at Michael Corinthos, whose choices he believes led to this tragedy. In the wake of the shocking event, blame, secrets, and risky schemes begin to unravel one by one, setting the stage for explosive confrontations and emotional breakdowns. At General Hospital, the sterile halls buzz with whispers as Felicia Scorpio corners Portia Robinson, determined to uncover the truth about the night Drew was shot. Felicia's intuition tells her Portia knows more than she's admitting, and her sharp questioning soon puts Portia on edge. Watching nearby is Isaiah Gannon, whose presence only deepens Portia's unease. Isaiah has been quietly harboring his own suspicions and finally confronts Portia privately, questioning whether they should come clean to the police. But Portia, desperate to protect her carefully constructed world, shuts him down immediately. She's terrified of what will happen if Curtis Ashford learns that Isaiah could be the father of her unborn child, terrified of losing the stability she's clung to since her life began unraveling. Yet, no secret can stay buried forever. Isaiah is no fool. He's already starting to piece the puzzle together. He's done the math, and the timing of Portia's pregnancy doesn't lie. Sooner or later, he'll find out the truth, that Portia's baby might be his. And deep down, Portia knows that as well. The guilt is eating her alive, and Felicia's prying questions only make it worse. When Portia finally breaks down and confesses, it's unclear exactly who she tells, Felicia, Isaiah, or both, but her admission will send shockwaves through Port Charles. This confession could easily become the domino that tips the entire web of lies and alliances into chaos. Meanwhile, Harrison Chase is preparing to take a dangerous gamble. His love for Willow and his desperation to prove her innocence have pushed him to the edge. As Willow's legal troubles grow, Chase devises a risky plan, one that could cost him his badge, his freedom, or worse. Brooklyn Quartermain senses something is terribly wrong. She receives unsettling news that Chase is going rogue, and she's filled with dread about what he might do next. Unable to carry the burden alone, she turns to Dante Falconeri, swearing him to secrecy before revealing the truth. Dante is alarmed by what he hears. Chase's plan could blow up in all their faces, especially if it targets Michael Corinthos directly. Brooklyn's fears are well-founded. Chase's loyalty to Willow blinds him to reason. He's convinced that Michael's manipulations and secrecy have played a role in the chain of events leading to Willow's arrest, and now her near-fatal injury. Chase's fixation on justice might easily turn into revenge. Brooklyn, torn between protecting Chase and doing the right thing, finds herself trapped in a moral dilemma. Every decision she makes could have consequences for someone she loves. Back at Sonny Corinthos' home, the patriarch of the Corinthos family struggles to maintain order amid the chaos. Michael arrives, distraught and consumed by guilt, but also determined to fight for Willow's freedom. Their conversation is tense and emotional. Michael predicts, with grim certainty, that Willow will be convicted by Christmas if something doesn't change. But Sonny, ever the strategist, hints that there may be another way, a different suspect who could shift the entire case. When Michael presses for details, Sonny drops a bombshell. He admits he's encouraged Alexis Davis to subtly point the finger toward Portia Robinson, suggesting she might have had a motive. Michael is horrified. This defense strategy could destroy Curtis Ashford's family and further complicate an already tangled web of relationships. Sonny, however, remains unmoved. To him, protecting his family, means doing whatever it takes, even if it means sacrificing others. As this father-son confrontation unfolds, Nina Reeves finds herself caught in her own dangerous misunderstanding. Believing she's about to receive good news, Nina meets with Jacinda Bracken, who leads her to believe she'll help ensure Michael's alibi collapses. Nina, still aching for validation and desperate for control, thinks she's regaining power in a situation that's spiraling beyond her reach. Later, she meets with Drew Kane, speaking cryptically about Michael taking care of Jacinda if she doesn't cooperate. But unbeknownst to Nina, Jacinda has already shifted her loyalty. She's now fully aligned with Michael, and together, they've been putting on a show of fake romance to manipulate the situation to their advantage. Yet as the charade continues, something unexpected begins to happen. Michael and Jacinda's staged chemistry turns genuine. Their alliance, built on lies and mutual need, transforms into something dangerously real. As their connection deepens, so does the risk of exposure. One slip, one overheard conversation, and their entire plan could unravel, destroying Michael's already fragile relationship with Willow and sending Drew's anger over the edge. Meanwhile, Alexis Davis is quietly working her own angle. During a tense visit to Pentonville, she gathers critical information that could shift the direction of Willow's trial. The evidence might implicate Portia, or at least introduce enough doubt to weaken the prosecution's case. When Willow learns that Alexis is considering naming Portia as an alternate suspect, she's torn between relief and guilt. Willow doesn't want another innocent person to suffer on her behalf, especially not someone already entangled in her family's pain. But as the clock ticks closer to her court date, choices grow harder and consequences sharper. Back at General Hospital, the air grows heavier. Drew Kane can barely contain his fury. His guilt over Willow's condition festers, and his anger at Michael boils over. In Drew's eyes, Michael's reckless behavior, his schemes with Jacinda, and his obsession with control have all led to this tragedy. Drew storms through the hospital corridors, demanding answers, his voice echoing off sterile walls. His anger isn't just about Willow's condition, It's about betrayal, about feeling used and manipulated by the very people he thought he could trust. Port Charles itself seems to hold its breath as alliances crumble and secrets teeter on the edge of exposure. Giovanni Gio Palmieri and Emma Scorpio Drake, ever the ambitious young duo, see the growing chaos as the perfect smokescreen for their own daring mission. The mayoral debate is approaching, and while everyone's eyes are glued to politics, Gio and Emma plan to strike. If Charlotte Cassadine succeeds in stealing the key fob, they'll finally have what they need to break into the lab. What they find inside could shift the balance of power in Port Charles entirely. As these threads intertwine, one truth becomes clear: no one in Port Charles is safe from the ripple effects of Willow's tragedy. Portia's confession could expose paternity secrets that destroy her relationship with Curtis. Chase's reckless plan could cost him his career, or his life. Brooke Lynn's divided loyalties could alienate everyone she loves. Michael's deceit and growing bond with Jacinda threaten to undo both his family and his heart. And Nina, once again, may find herself the architect of her own downfall, blinded by ambition and desperation. Through it all, Willow lies in her hospital bed, unaware of the chaos swirling around her. Machines beep rhythmically, marking each fragile breath, each passing second. To everyone in her orbit, she represents something different: innocence, redemption, guilt, love, loss. Her survival, or her death, will decide the fate of every major player in this story. As Drew glares at Michael across the hospital corridor, his words cut through the tension like a knife. "This is on you, Michael. All of it." Michael doesn't respond. He can't. His mind races with memories of Willow, their laughter, their plans for the future, their love that once seemed unbreakable. Now, he's facing the possibility of losing her forever, and the unbearable knowledge that his choices may have played a role in her downfall. Still, deep within him, a spark of defiance remains. He refuses to give up. He'll fight for Willow, for justice, for the truth, no matter who he has to take down along the way. As the storm gathers over Port Charles, loyalties will be tested, hearts will be shattered, and long-buried secrets will finally rise to the surface. Willow's fate may lie in the hands of doctors, but the future of everyone around her depends on choices made in the shadows, choices that could either save them, or destroy them all. The sterile hum of machines filled Willow Corinthos' hospital room, a haunting rhythm that echoed the fragile balance between life and death. Monitors flickered, for lines dripped steadily, and the faint scent of antiseptic hung heavy in the air. Outside her door, Michael Corinthos stood frozen, his hands trembling as he pressed them together in silent prayer. Every fiber of his being screamed for her to wake up. He had seen her broken before, but never like this, pale, bruised, surrounded by wires and tubes, as if the life had been drained out of her by forces he couldn't fight. Drew Kane's footsteps shattered the stillness of the corridor. He moved like a storm barely contained, his jaw tight, his eyes burning with rage and grief. The moment his gaze locked onto Michael, the tension snapped like a live wire. "This is your fault," Drew spat, voice low but cutting like steel. "You're the reason she's in that bed." Michael didn't argue. He couldn't. There were no words that could undo what had happened. Drew's fury was justified, at least in part. Every decision Michael had made in recent weeks had been calculated, manipulative, and dangerous. The fake romance with Jacinda, the underhanded moves to influence the investigation, the secrets he'd kept from Willow, all of it had spiraled into chaos. But hearing the accusation out loud still felt like a dagger twisting in his chest. "Drew," Michael said quietly, his voice cracking. "I never wanted this. You know that." "What I know," Drew growled, taking a step closer, "is that every time you try to fix something, people get hurt. You think you're protecting Willow, but all you ever do is drag her deeper into your mess." "Stop," Nina Reeves interrupted sharply, her heels clicking as she approached. Her tone was stern, but her eyes betrayed concern, for Michael, for Drew, for all of them. "This isn't helping her. Fighting won't change anything." Drew turned toward Nina, his anger shifting directions. "You should talk, Nina. Half of this started because of your lies." Nina's composure faltered for a brief moment, guilt flashing in her eyes before she masked it again. I'm not the one who faked an alibi or got involved with a woman to manipulate a witness. Michael flinched. That's not what happened. But even as he said it, he wasn't sure he believed it anymore. Across town, at General Hospital's administrative wing, Felicia Scorpio was relentless. She had spent decades navigating the tangled lives of Port Charles's residents, and her instincts had never failed her. Now, standing across from Portia Robinson, she could sense the crack in the doctor's calm exterior. Portia, Felicia said gently, though her tone carried the weight of interrogation. I need you to be honest with me. You were seen near the docks the night Drew was shot. Why were you there? Portia froze. Her hands tightened around the clipboard she held like a shield. I already told the police. You told them you were working late, Felicia interrupted smoothly. But your badge didn't log any hospital access after 9:15 p.m. So unless you've suddenly learned to teleport, something doesn't add up. Isaiah Gannon shifted uncomfortably nearby. He hadn't meant to get dragged into this, but Felicia's presence left no room for escape. Felicia, maybe you should back off, Isaiah said cautiously. This isn't an interrogation. Portia doesn't owe you anything. Felicia turned to him, her expression sharp. If Portia's hiding something that could clear up what happened to Drew, or connect to Willow's case, then she owes this entire town the truth. Portia's pulse pounded in her ears. The walls felt like they were closing in. She couldn't keep lying, not to Felicia, not to Isaiah, not to herself. Her secret was already hanging by a thread. I was with Isaiah that night, she whispered finally, her voice trembling. We were together. Felicia blinked, momentarily stunned. The implications hit her all at once. Portia, does Curtis know? Portia shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. No. And he can't. Not yet. Isaiah's expression darkened. Portia, he's going to find out. Especially if. I know, she snapped, her voice breaking. But I can't lose him. Not now. Not when everything else is falling apart. Felicia sighed softly, sympathy flickering across her features. Secrets never stay buried in Port Charles, Portia. You know that better than anyone. But the damage was already done. The truth was out, and it was only a matter of time before it spread. Meanwhile, Harrison Chase stood alone on the rooftop of the PCPD building, staring out over the city. The wind whipped through his hair, carrying the echoes of sirens and distant chaos. His mind was a battlefield, torn between duty and desperation. Willow didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve to be framed, to be humiliated, to be fighting for her life while the real culprits walked free. And if the system wouldn't deliver justice, then maybe, just maybe, he could. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through the encrypted messages from his anonymous contact, someone claiming to have evidence that could exonerate Willow. The catch? It required Chase to break several laws, access sealed police files, and plant evidence to redirect suspicion. It was insane. Dangerous. Career-ending. But every time he saw Willow's name in the case files, every time he thought of her kindness, her resilience, and how she'd once trusted him completely, he couldn't let it go. That's when Brooke Lynn's voice echoed in his mind, soft but filled with fear. Chase, please, don't do this. You're not that kind of man. He wanted to believe that. He really did. But when the woman you love is on trial for a crime she didn't commit, the line between justice and revenge becomes dangerously thin. Downstairs, Brooke Lynn was pacing nervously in Dante Falconeri's office. She had told him everything, about Chase's mysterious contact, his plan to fix the case, and his willingness to go off book. Dante listened silently, his brow furrowed. You did the right thing telling me, Dante said finally. But if Chase goes through with this, he's done. No badge. No credibility. Nothing. Brooke Lynn's eyes filled with tears. I know. But he won't listen to me anymore. He thinks I'm trying to stop him because I don't believe in him. Dante sighed. You love him. That's the problem. Love makes people blind. He didn't have to say it out loud, but they both knew what came next. Dante would have to stop Chase, by any means necessary. Back at the Corinthos compound, Sonny poured himself a drink, the amber liquid glinting in the dim light. He'd been through wars, betrayals, and family implosions, but watching his son unravel like this was something else entirely. Michael sat across from him, his face pale and drawn. You think throwing Portia under the bus will save Willow? He asked bitterly. You're playing God with people's lives again. Sonny took a slow sip before answering. I'm playing defense, Michael. That's what I do. And right now, the best defense is misdirection. You know how the system works. If they're looking at Portia, they're not looking at Willow.